So let's just like a real quick query here. Just looking at this news of your boy Boris Johnson, who wanted herd immunity. He did want herd immunity in England and London. Sorry, in England, in the UK, wanted all of us to get the virus, be immune, and so forth. That didn't work out, bro. So now he's obviously backtracking. Um, Independence. So they announced that Boris is now going to Scotland with a charm offensive to try and stress how the UK needs to work together to defeat this pandemic. And all throughout, you're just seeing that even since the beginning, Nicola Sturgeon just has a completely different message and tactic from what Boris has been doing. And this is what I've always said, that I remember when it's a funny thing, I was working in the kill shop, online kill shop, when Scotland had their independence votes. And I was shocked that these guys voted to remain. So this is almost like a question for so for those Scottish people who voted to remain within the UK, why? Because this is the reality. The reality of the matter is that, I know English people. I know them, living in England, going to the schools and so forth. And English people continuously crack jokes to mock the Irish, the Welsh, and the Scottish. Because whenever I look at the UK, that is controlled and dominated by England. It's not a union. It's not people going together. It's presented as a union, but it's really where England are at the top. Because remember, with the English people are very, they have a lot of pride because it's a very old country and it's very historical and so forth. There is no way in which they will say, "Oh, Scotland, Ireland, they're on our level." No, no, no. We can make it appear they're on our level, but really, we really run things. Because I remember when Gordon Brown was even freaking prime minister, and anytime that he was insulted, there were always slight digs to the fact that he was Scottish. Same thing with Andy Murray. When Andy Murray wins, he's British. When he loses, he's Scottish. So I always say for Scottish people, why the heck would you? Because see, whenever I look at a Scots person, I never view them as British. No, you're Scottish because Scotland have such an amazing history, an incredible history. Even for me, working for 1 year in a kilt shop and just learning about kilt and the history of kilts and just how interesting that history is and that culture is. I was like, man, for a country with such rich history and culture, why would you want to associate yourself to a union that doesn't see you as an equal? This is what it is. England doesn't view Scotland as an equal. No way. Okay, have you met English people, specific English people? I'm not saying this is for all English people, but specifically the posh people and the guys in the upper class, middle class, those kinds of dudes. There's no way they want to see a Scottish person as their equal. Heck no. So I could just see for like Nicola Sturgeon, she's like pushing for this independence vote, and she's like, guys, this is the time now because they said like polls have been rising with regards to Scotland being independent, specifically with just how Boris has handled this stuff. Specifically, also, and I think the real kicker was Brexit. I think 70% of Scots people voted to remain in the EU, but because you're under the UK, you had to succumb to the votes of the entirety of the UK, which is why Nicola Sturgeon was like, that is effed up. Our freaking country voted to remain in the EU, but because some numbskulls in England, led by this dumbass Great Britain pride, voted to leave the EU, now we now have to suffer for that. So she's like, no, 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 let's just get freaking independent. Because once we're independent, then the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get back into that freaking EU, and so forth. And you guys, England, you can stay outside of the EU. It's cool. So, but yeah, I just hope that for this video, I just want to know the Scottish people who voted to stay within the union and who voted against independence. And for those people that did it, why? Why would you vote against being independent? Because of course it's going to be tough. Of course it's going to be hard. Those first few months are hard. But one of the best things to do is to be independent. And for a country as unique, with such unique people as Scottish people. Because again, like, yes, England, very historical. Let England be their own country. As the Irish did, Ireland did their own country. I think, but then obviously I know the beef between Northern Ireland and Ireland, but I think Northern Ireland, you be your own country. Wales, they're quite small, but Wales, you be your own country. And Scotland, you be your own country with your own history and your own identity. And because I just think Brexit is the tipping point that, oh my gosh, A country voted to remain in the EU, but England voted to stay. But when they now put it up together, we now have to now just suffer for something we didn't vote for, which is insane. So yeah, so for all the Scottish people who voted to not be independent, why?